Sweet. Okay. So while I get this
Okay. Good morning-ish afternoon. Thank you for tuning in yet again.
Thank you for your patience, everybody.
This is take 2 for the morning. Welcome back, KingRoyal Industries with Crypto and Coffee, first on the block with Dre King, Crypto Goth.
Have you with us, guys, as we continue to refine our system, especially for our video having to be upright today. We did have a slight failure with one of our cameras that did make it a little bit difficult to get things going this morning.
This
but
will most likely always be a struggle for us.
Well, no, we're getting better. We're getting better.
We still have a phone taped to us.
You know what? That's a thing that will go away eventually,
It will go away eventually.
But not right now.
Okay. Anyways. So first on the block, Cointelegraph and OKEX, right?
That's right.
That actually came out right.
Yeah.
Partnered up and did a nice little article.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting what they had. I think you have a copy of it here. So
I do, because I'm blind and I cannot read screens.
It's fine. It's fine.
And the memory's horrible. But it starts off, remind me, what is a stable coin? A stable coin is a type of cryptocurrency that often has its value pegged to another asset, such as fiat currency, precious metals, or other types of crypto.
AKA, it's a commodity. I mean, that's literally what they just said.
So, with major digital currencies like Bitcoin, BTC, experiencing sudden price jumps, sometimes in a matter of seconds, skeptics argue that normal cryptos are near impossible to use as a medium of exchange. Your morning cup of coffee could end up being 25% more expensive in the time that it takes to check out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely been a big issue in crypto. I mean, that's the reason I've always said it's like, as much as I love, things like Bitcoin and whatnot, its ability to be used as a means of payment. I mean, if you work all day and you're theoretically going to be getting paid in Bitcoin, you have absolutely no idea at the end of how much money you actually.
I kind of like going in and getting paid on the hourly and knowing exactly what I'm taking home.
Exactly. Well, I mean, it makes it so that for the investor or the intrepid entrepreneur that's really trying to get out there and prove themselves,
right.
It can be great. But for somebody that's like, I need to pay my bills this month, it doesn't work.
Not so good.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
No. We like to make sure that food stays on the table.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so stablecoins aim to tackle this by being collateralized. How this works in practice varies. In some cases, $1 is held in reserve for every unit of stablecoin in circulation, or perhaps a gram of gold. Given how dollars and precious metals aren't as susceptible to erratic price swings, most stablecoins aim to remove some volatility. Sorry, I have a hard time with this word because my tongue is volatility from the equation. They can also double up as a safe haven for crypto enthusiasts when the markets are bearish and taking a beating. What?
Sorry about that, guys. Just getting everything finished up for this stream here. All right.
So all this sounds good. So what's the problem?
Yeah, so this is actually something that those who have been following us for literally any length of time know that we preach about all the time, which is that in commodity tokens, specifically, I mean, obviously stablecoins are kind of the big one everybody talks about right now. The biggest problem with stablecoins or commodities in general is the fact you can't trust them, or more precisely, that you have to trust them, which is kind of a unique environment when it comes to blockchain. But it's really true because, I mean, if you think about it, commodity tokens, they still require that central intermediary, which means you're still having to trust somebody who's holding that asset. But what's Cointelegraph have to say about it?
Okay, Cointelegraph says some of the biggest players in the stablecoin market have been accused of lacking transparency.
Mm-hmm. Well, exactly, yeah.
They go on, Tether is the 7th biggest cryptocurrency in the world at the time of writing, and the high-profile stablecoin has a market cap of more than $4 billion.
Mm-hmm.
But its simple promise that every unit is 100% backed by United States dollars has been brought into question in recent years, and legal issues have been on the horizon. We've actually seen a lot of.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's not even news anymore. Every time
they don't even blink an eye anymore when
Tether accidentally prints another 5 billion tokens here or there.
Deletes everything.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not even news anymore.
It is a little sad. It's like at this point we can't even be bothered to care anymore. It really is bad.
That's what it's. Yeah, that's what it feels like. Okay, crypto critics have long called for Tether to subject itself to an independent audit to verify the veracity of its claims. Mm-hmm. But such checks have not been forthcoming. Recent changes to the terms on its website also suggest that the stablecoin is being backed by other assets. It says this may include receivables from loans issued.
Mm. Which is, I mean, it's another really big problem in the space right now is the fact that, like, if you look at a lot of traditional financial institutions, specifically banks, we see that they loan out against their reserve. That's how they tend to make the majority of their money, is they take the capital that they receive, and rather than acting as the custodian of that capital, the clients of the banking institution, or whatever it may be, act more as creditors of the bank. And then their money is used in loans and whatnot. That's how the interest is generated. That's how the bank makes money, and the piffling amount of interest that the end user gets is made. When it comes to something, and we've seen that has been in the long term a very unsustainable model. We've seen it's led to, widespread economic collapse more than once in just U.S. history alone, as, over 50, 70, 100-year time span, it gets more and more overextended, it gets more and more overinflated until finally we have a full-blown collapse of that structure. Everything kind of gets built back together and then we start over again. We saw it happen in 2008.
Right.
The problem is that when you look at that on the point of a stablecoin, transactions are conducted so much quicker and so many more transactions are conducted that instability that would typically take 50 to 100 years to come to a head and turn into a massive problem now takes 2 years, 3 years. All the commodity token assets, they made these big claims. Oh, we're going to hold full reserves. We're going to be totally transparent. And now they are. They loan out that money in the same manner, and they also typically store the money inside of banking institutions that also loan out the money. Right. So you end up with literally double the inflation of your standard financial asset that's now being conducted at 1 trillion times the speed.
Right. What does that mean for everyday people?
What that means for everyday people is it means that the stable coins people are using literally are now representing less value than the underlying fiat asset by up to 4x magnitude. And it means that the instability and economic collapse of those assets is going to be accelerated massively. So these assets are quote-unquote stable. Right. They're supposed to protect your value, make so you don't have to worry about changes up or down or anything like that. Those assets are now going to create, even more economic instability, make so that the next morning you might wake up and find that all of your tokens have literally been burned and have disappeared from your wallet because they needed to rebalance their algorithm again.
Right.
So
it's kind of the same as when the economy starts to take a complete fall and the banks shut down.
Right. Except this is happening, first of all, it's a global system, and second of all, it's a system in which there's even less regulation, there's even less protection for the end user. So, not good.
Okay. So, let's see, where did I leave off? Sorry. Confirmation that Tether is running on a fractional reserve later came from the stablecoin's operators' lawyers, who revealed in court documents that the company only has enough cash to back 74% of its supply.
Personally, I still think that's a little generous, just from everything I've, like, everything that goes on about them. I still feel like that's, like, pretty good, which is bad.
It says a small amount of reserves are also in Bitcoin, prompting a New York Supreme Court judge to ask why Tether has placed its assets in the same volatile currency it was meant to modulate. Sorry.
Yeah, it is really funny that it's like, okay, we're going to actually use the asset that is unstable in order to hedge against the asset that is supposedly, it's, it frustrates me to no end.
Some decentralized stablecoins have also been running into difficulties. DAI, an ERC20 token pegged at 1 to 1 with the US dollar, with an exchange rate maintained by over-collateralized with Ether, ETH, has struggled at times to maintain its $1 price point. It goes on, where do regulators stand on stablecoins?
Not favorably for the most part.
As with other cryptocurrencies, the regulatory landscape is patchy and confused. Why?
I mean, for a couple of different reasons. First off, it's been very patchy just due to the fact that a lot of people, there's so much confusion back and forth in this space that a lot of regulators, either they move too slowly to have been able to create proper formats for all this stuff yet, or on the other side, you see the fact that due to the fact that, assets, especially something like a commodity token, which has such a immediate impact, where something like Bitcoin or Ethereum even is a much more kind of grassroots movement as it moves in and supplants a lot of the traditional systems, something like a commodity token makes a really big impact really quickly that everybody can see, because it's dealing with tangible items, things you're holding in your hands, that you're able to touch, that you're able to see how it moves, even if you have no technical knowledge. And so there has been a lot of fear, actually, that we've seen, especially come up this year from regulators around commodity tokens, because the idea of taking these assets that have always had a very central control and, a very standardized system that really hasn't changed since the 1800s, is now being removed from traditional control structures and is being put into a system where they're told you can't have the same level of control over this that you've always had. And so it has caused this almost knee-jerk reaction where we see countries like, Russia was a big one, where they declared it an offense, essentially a federal offense, I guess, to even hold any of these commodity assets, even though if you think about it, a commodity asset should be the least threatening, since it represents something that should theoretically have little to no change in value against whatever it's backed by.
Okay. Goes on, Japan, a developed economy that has taken friendlier stance towards crypto than other countries, seems to be leading the charge in finding a way to regulate stablecoins. Tokyo believes such digital currencies have the potential to make remittance payments that foreign workers send home to their loved ones faster and cheaper.
Yeah.
What do you?
Well, it's a given that blockchain is going to make transactions faster and cheaper. That's just the way it works, at least right now. And, definitely Japan, they've always been very much on the forefront of this. I know that they've been working on trying to put together a few of their own currencies. I know that, from friends of mine that have spent some time over there, that even in many places, most prices are actually dual listed in local currency and Bitcoin, due to how well accepted it is over there. And, it's not going to surprise me at all that they're leading the push towards digital commodities, especially given the fact that they've actually taken a very all-encompassing and kind of very, very welcoming stance towards the idea of distribution. Now, they have had some problems in the past with true decentralization. But when it comes to a distributed system, something where even though they may not have the same control over it, there is still some kind of structure in place for, legal and authoritative systems, they've almost really jumped on that, and they've really kind of led the whole distributed ledger technology over like true blockchain, and they've really been a proponent of that, which has been a really good thing overall.
Given how more than $500 billion was sent in global remittance to developing countries in 2018, with migrants facing stubbornly high fees averaging at 7%. This can't be a bad thing.
Right. No, exactly. Well, that's actually so. It was really interesting. So there was actually a transaction that happened yesterday on Bitcoin, and this just proves like when everybody's like, oh, Bitcoin doesn't offer anything, it's insustainable. There's no point to any of it. Something that is a really good point to bring up is that yesterday there was a transaction that happened on the Bitcoin blockchain that was, I believe, a $400 billion transaction or something.
Yes, I actually read up on that a little bit.
That it took 15 minutes to send.
Right.
And who knows where it was going in the world. I mean, these wallet addresses are not geo-locked.
Yeah, they said it went from one unknown wallet to another unknown wallet, and then within a certain amount of time, it happened again.
Right. But again, this is a transaction that in traditional markets would take, honestly, it would probably take months to execute. We're talking a 6-month transaction that would cost, at the fees they're talking about here, I mean, it would cost literally hundreds of thousands of dollars to send by the end of it, not including the taxes associated with just in the bank fees alone. And then you take and you look at what Bitcoin was able to do. It took 15 minutes for it to get there. Not even just like the process to send it. Just click the button, wait 15 minutes, the other guy has it.
Right.
And it costs $2.87 to send.
Right. And I mean, yeah, that can't be a bad thing. I mean, to wire a friend of money.
Yeah.
In the Midwest, it cost me an arm and a leg to
Right. It should not be prohibitive to be able to send money to the people you need to send to. We actually have a question right now over from Instagram. From one second here, from About That Drink. Do you believe that we can more than one cryptocurrency, or I think do you believe that we can have more than one cryptocurrency, or will one rule supreme? So this is hi there, Clay. Good to have you on here. I'm going to give you a call after this. I mean, that's been a really big argument that's gone back and forth, and I don't think that we are going to have a single crypto, just for the fact that cryptocurrency is a very all-encompassing system. It's something that is, it covers and it touches on many different things, and that's where we're going to see, like, you look at, let's just pull up, let's say the top three. You have Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. And where Litecoin and Bitcoin did come from the same roots, they're really not the same thing anymore. Bitcoin is largely considered a store of value. It's a very speculative token that, in all honesty, as much as I love Bitcoin for everything that did for the space, it is a very old system, and it's a system that doesn't necessarily provide much value moving forward compared to something like Litecoin. Litecoin is a payment system, as are things like Dash, Bitcoin Cash. There's dozens of them that their sole use is as money and a store of value. Right. And then you have other tokens. You have your users, and that's where I think we're going to see a lot more development happen. We already have, and unfortunately a lot of the development, the several thousand tokens that exist right now, there's a handful that actually have any real value. Obviously, a lot of the ERC20 tokens are great examples. You have things like Golem, StoreJ, Digix. All of these are tokens that represent, in one way or another, they are a commodity token. I mean, some of them are utilities, some of them are legally considered commodities. But they're all tokens that represent a service or a tangible good that is considered to have value by someone somewhere in the world.
Right.
And those are the kind of tokens I think we're going to see a lot more of. Additionally, tokens, again, service tokens like VeChain. We have supply chain. We have commodity tokens that range from being backed by gold to the dollar to barrels of oil. All of these different systems like this, I think that we're going to see both expand, but also I'm really hoping that we see a lot more cross-chain functionality get implemented, because right now one of the biggest problems, in my opinion anyway, with the scalability of crypto is the fact that in order to scale crypto right now, one system kind of has to reign supreme because none of the systems talk to each other.
Right.
Bitcoin and Ethereum, you can't cross-interact there.
No.
Same with Ethereum and EOS and Neo. All of these different big systems that are supposedly trying to build out to the future of blockchain function very much as the the feuding city-states of the Middle Ages, where they all had their own currency, they all had their own government, and all of them were too busy fighting amongst each other to actually do anything. Yeah, to do anything important.
Right.
And so, I think that cross-chain functionality is going to be really important so that the end user doesn't necessarily see, oh, there's all of these different cryptos. They see one synonymous system, very similar to Google, where Google is an amalgamation of, 10,000 different programs. They were all done by different people, but they all have the ability to cross-interact.
I won't say that. Sorry. I'm trying to cut down on my cussing. They all got together and actually worked together to make it.
Right, exactly. And I do hope that we see more decentralization than we do in Google, but I do believe that the ability to be able to cross-interact is really important. That's like, even with what we're building, we do have in our roadmap to build out the cross-chain functionality in order to be able to facilitate having commodities that are listed on top of whatever underlying network the developer is looking to list on.
Right. How close do you think we are to actually being able to close those gaps and be able to work them together?
That's a good question. Can I plead the fifth? So, right now, if you look in blockchain in general, there are a number of problems that are kind of considered to be the biggest problems of scalability. Mm-hmm. Those include the actual proof network, so that'd be proof of work, proof of stake, proof of concept, proof of authority, yada, yada, yada. You have the off-chain data management functionality, which is what we here at KingRoyal are trying to solve, or have solved, I guess. And then you have the third problem is exactly, what we're talking about here, which is cross-chain functionality, because the other problem is that these protocols, often the reason these protocols are separate is because they do different things. Right. You have a protocol that is, let's say, XMR Monero's protocol, which is all about privacy. It uses additional transactions. It uses dummy addresses. It uses all these systems in order to ensure privacy. Now, how is that token going to be able to interact with something like Ethereum, which is a public network, uses a single key, and is largely focused on being able to transmit data clusters in order to be able to facilitate the building of decentralized applications? And how is that then going to interact with Bitcoin, which has extremely small blocks that are just meant to send transactional data back and forth? Which is, how's that, and where, Bitcoin requires 6 transaction confirmations, how does that then work with something like Dash, which can literally transact at 0 confirmations? All these different requirements make it very hard for them to interact. There are a few teams that are working on it. Personally, I haven't seen a prototype that really works yet, though.
Do you think that they will be able to meld any of these protocols together and actually make it work?
It's a good question. I don't know, mainly for the fact that I don't know how willing they'd be to work together. Right. For instance, people, and I know, sorry guys, I'm about to piss off half of you that are watching. Bitcoin maximalists, will say Bitcoin's the be-all, end-all. That might be true if it had the functionality of Litecoin.
Right.
If the two melded, it would be an amazing thing. They're not going to. Simply for the fact that there's been so much infighting there for literally a decade that there's almost institutional level hate that's been built up.
Stop all the hate people.
Yeah, right. We have seen, a lot of systems have, come under, let's say the ERC20 banner. We definitely see, if you look on CoinMarketCap, what is it now, 80% of the top 100 coins are now all ERC20 tokens. And that's because people realize the ability for it to be able to interact with other tokens on the network is going to increase adoption.
Right.
what we really need to see, we need to see the few predominant systems. That'd be things like, Ethereum and Litecoin need to develop that cross-chain compatibility. And we have seen limited versions of it with something like, for instance, Shapeshift, but these are centralized intermediaries that have to facilitate the back and forth. Until there becomes a blockchain-based system, a system where it doesn't require that central intermediary, it can be a truly decentralized system that can facilitate those back and forths, I don't think that we're going to see much more advancement in that, which is unfortunate. We'll tackle that problem next.
Narc to that then.
I know. I wanted to be so much more positive about that question, but
all of a sudden my day got gray.
Yeah, like I know, like I felt like the more I talked there, it's like
questions.
It just rained on our parade.
Yeah. Aww. Where's my umbrella and my teddy bear?
I think you got a hippo around here somewhere.
We're not talking about that right now. Okay. Oh, sorry. You got me off guard with that one. Over in the U.S., which has taken more of a...
What do you mean over in the U.S.? That's where we are.
Well, I'm reading for Cointelegraph.
Yeah.
This is their article. I did not write it. Obviously, they are not here in the U.S. because they say over in the U.S.
Yeah.
But they are jumping from Japan. So
yeah.
They're referencing locations. That's all it is. Anyways, over in the U.S., which has taken more of a cautious approach to cryptocurrencies in general.
You can say that again.
Yeah. I wouldn't call it a cautious approach.
How about extreme phobia?
Yeah.
Like, it's bad.
Like a hate phobia?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we've seen this like knee-jerk work. I mean, just like with what we were talking about.
Call it knee-jerk.
Like what we talked about on the First on the Block podcast the other day, where the Assistant Secretary of the Treasury said that all non-compliant cryptocurrencies will not survive the war on terror. It's like, okay, well, there's a hard line stance for you.
Yeah, that was a little on the harsh side.
Yeah, a little bit on the nose, you think? Jeez.
Anyway, approach to cryptocurrencies in general, it seems that regulation will depend on the method that these coins use to achieve their stability. As a result, stablecoins pegged to the U.S. dollar would be handled differently to those that maintain a stagnant price by
algorithmically.
What?
Algorithmically.
Okay, I have a really hard time pronouncing these words sometimes. Adjusting supply against demand.
So, actually, I want to stop you there. This is something that I think but even after having developed our protocol, I did not realize until I was actually talking with Alex Tan, I believe, down at Republic.co. Great group, by the way, guys. Not a sponsor, but definitely go over and look at some of their stuff. They're fantastic. Very knowledgeable, friendly guys. But anyway, Alex Tan down there, we were talking, and he started asking me, okay, well, what's your algorithm to be able to adjust your supply to maintain price?
Right.
And I knew that this was a thing that a couple of stablecoins had done. I did not realize that every one of the other stablecoins and most commodity tokens in general were doing this. Mm-hmm. But because they don't actually maintain a full reserve, according to whatever their market cap is supposed to be, they have to have algorithms in place to continuously make new tokens and delete tokens from the market in order to continuously adjust it and infuse those in and out of exchanges in order to keep the price stable. Why the hell should a stable asset have to literally be micromanaged and have false trades made back and forth in order to keep the price from fluctuating?
That's a good question.
I mean, honestly, why would you ever want to buy a stable asset that literally has to be grannied all the time and falsely inflated and deflated just to make it so that you don't lose your money? There's no reason for that.
Sorry, Mendo Maker just...
Oh, hey there, Mendo Maker. Great to see you on here as always. And guys, anybody have any questions, let us know. We always want to hear from you. But yeah, I mean, so that's one thing that I think is a really important thing. That's something that, like, with the Crown Network and what we're building is one of the first things when I was talking to Alex Tan and he's like, okay, well, what's your algorithm? I'm like, we don't have one. It's like, well, how are you going to maintain the price of the coin? Because we don't care if it's traded on exchanges for $10 or 10 cents. If you bring it to us, we're going to give you $1. And I don't care if we could go on exchanges, we could buy it for a penny. If you bring it to us, we're going to give you $1. I don't care if it's worth $100 on exchange. We're going to give you $1. The whole point of that is very, very simply to make it so that we don't have these, manipulations that go on. And I mean, this is the reason why, like, I do believe that when the Crown token launches, it will be launched at $1 and it will stay at $1 and it's not going to fluctuate. Right. Simply for the fact that no one in their right mind is going to buy a token that the only way to remit it is to get $1 if they're buying it for more than $1 or less than $1. Right. I mean, it's never going to happen.
Doesn't make any sense. It's like those infomercials. You see them on TV all the time. We have this gold coin worth 25 cents and you can get it today as a collector's for $50.
Right.
Why?
Right.
If it's only worth just 25 cents, why am I paying $50 for it?
Right. Well, and it's a huge issue, and I do believe that we are going to maintain stability better than the other stablecoins because where we see other stablecoins, they typically fluctuate up to 3 cents on either side of it. There's the only reason for fluctuation there is because people are literally trading against the algorithm, and they're pushing the algorithm one way or another so they can make money on those micro trades.
Right.
That simply is not going to happen with something where you can't get it out of the system. Interesting, but also terrible that an asset considered stable would so blatantly go against the exact tenets of stability. There's my rant, guys. Sorry about that. Let's go ahead and get back to our coin article.
Frustrate him. I still have to work with him today.
I'm just saying, come on. Like it's blatant thievery.
You're a good boss.
It's blatant thievery.
And it is thievery.
Yeah.
It's the incredibly high interest rates.
Well, okay, and here's another great example that I love is like when we were talking to another company, Genesis Block, earlier this year, in which they because they were getting impatient, they wanted us to launch our stablecoin sooner. We were still in the process of getting things built. We're in the process of trying to get our security token sold so that we would be able to raise the appropriate funding and all that kind of thing. They're like, okay, well, why don't you just mint a bunch of the stablecoins in advance before you have the dollars and then sell them each for $1.10. It's like, no. If you can find me somebody that's willing to buy a token that's worth $1 for $1.10, I also got some beach property in Idaho I'd like to sell them to. Maybe get a part of the Brooklyn Bridge. Wasn't that the one?
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay, Mindo Maker has a comment. Only potential for it to be more valuable than $1 at market is the added benefit of speed over transaction or over traditional fiat and a way to beat inflation. That's absolutely true. And that will be a way that it's used. I mean, that's a way that any stable asset's used. But at least you're not going to have that, that micro trading manipulation that we see. And I mean, we see the worst part is that in a large part, it's Tether that benefits from that because they end up acquiring a lot of tokens and burning them at 97 cents or 96 cents, and then end up printing a bunch more tokens and pushing them out forcibly into the market for $1.03, $1.05. And so they are literally just skimming money out of every person that uses their system.
Chipping off a little bit at a time.
And the unfortunate thing is because it's such small amounts, most of the users, unless they're doing a $10 million purchase, it's such a little amount they don't see that they're getting scammed for that.
Right.
So it comes out in these little micro amounts that just make it so that, unfortunately, with the amount that Tether is transacting, it does add up very quickly and turn into a large amount of money very fast.
That's why we need more Tethers in the world. Scammers! Sorry.
Do you guys see what I have to put up with here? I mean, come on.
I like that kind of attitude, though. Call it what it is. Okay, even though regulation is seen as a bad word, there is an argument that clear guidelines from financial bodies could help stablecoins. How's that?
Well, I mean, it goes back to the thing of people, when it comes to any kind of system that is being conducted in a non-ethical manner, the first thing people think is, oh, these people for doing wrong. The reality of it is, though, is that if you look at pretty much every traditional financial institution, they do wrong all the time, and they get a slap on the wrist. I mean, you know, you had, what was it back in 2006, what was it? It was a Roe that was found to literally be laundering blood money for one of the cartels, and the slap on the wrist, it was like an $8.7 million fine, and be good boys from now on.
Yeah.
And that was it. It wasn't even an audit.
No,
I mean, it was literally, that was it.
It was, did you do wrong? That's a naughty boy.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
on their head. Learn your lesson.
Exactly. And so, like, honestly, I don't see that regulation is what's needed. What I see is that it's decentralized regulation. Because that's the thing, is that if you think about it, you know, everybody's like, oh, crypto, Bitcoin is not a regulated resource. It is. It's just not regulated by somebody you can bribe.
Right.
It's regulated by a computer that doesn't care who your daddy is or how much money you have in the bank.
Where you come from.
Exactly. It doesn't care. All it cares about is if the data is correct or incorrect, and that is it.
That's a good point.
So yeah, I mean, actually, let me rephrase. I'm fully in favor of regulation, just not by humans. All hail our robot overlords. Do what they say.
Baker says, who needs regulations when you have a clear contract and an open structure?
Exactly.
Still struggling.
That is absolutely, you know, what we were just talking about. Is the fact that it's like, yes, have regulation, but not regulation from people. Have your regulation be a smart contract that is immutable, cannot be altered in any way, and will clearly show literally anyone on the entire globe that wants to see it exactly what is happening.
And that makes sense. It's, you know, it's to have everything in the open air. It's not regulated by someone you can.
It's true. It isn't.
No, that is true. Like, you can't walk up to a computer and be like, look, I'll give you 25%.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about that.
I mean, personally, I find it very refreshing that you don't have to. It's like, yeah, this is, you know, let's make the system a little bit more, you know, so it works for us, right?
Yeah. That would just make more sense.
I mean, that's what I think.
Okay. Where should I pick up? Sorry.
Let's see here.
Down?
Yeah.
We've already talked about that a lot.
So,
what can stablecoin operators do?
Well, you know, literally anything more than what they're doing would be a start. Oh, wait, I shouldn't have said that. No, I should have said that. I meant that. I absolutely meant that.
Sorry. Cointelegraph goes on to say, one way of instilling confidence in overcoming a major challenge facing stablecoin involves complete transparency.
Ding, ding, ding. Why did it take them 5 years to figure that out? Like, really, why?
But you know what? Some people still have not figured that out.
Well, yeah, those would be the people that are lining their pockets with millions of dollars laundered through this system.
The hell you say?
I mean, and they figured it out, too. They figured it out before everybody else. Gold is the original self-regulating currency, says Mindo Maker. You either have the gold or you don't. That's the regulating. Yes. That's very true. And, you know, that's what blockchain should enable, is the ability so that even if you don't have the gold in your hand, you can look at it and be able to know beyond any shadow of a doubt, do you have it or do you not?
I'm adding more coffee because it's a little too sweet. I'm a bitter person.
So, while CryptoGoth does that, Cointelegraph continues to say, rivals to Tether have been capitalizing on its weakness by opening their books to the public and ensuring stablecoins are actually 100% backed by US dollars. They say that, and that is not really true. Not to call out against what Cointelegraph is saying, because there has been many stablecoins that have opened their books.
Right.
But what they're saying can be misinterpreted, because you have something like, let's say, Paxos or USDC. Mm-hmm. Both of them have opened their books, which, first of all, they shouldn't have been able to have closed books in the first place, because their books are being held and completely monitored by individuals that are part of those companies, which means that there is a vested interest to and they've been a very reputable company to date. They've been really the only stablecoin. Well, them and USDC have been the only stablecoins that have not run afoul of not doing what they say they're going to do.
Right.
They've really tried very hard, and I do appreciate that. But when it comes to them, though, they're also very honest about the fact that they do fractionalize about 80% of their reserve. So they, yes, do theoretically hold full reserve. It's backed by, insurance that will replace the money if it's stolen or something like that. But they are still loaning out that money, which means that they don't have full solvency. If everyone who's using Paxos went there right now today to their website and tried to redeem it for the underlying cash value, they would only be able to give about 20% of it back to the users. And it means that they are continuing in an extremely rapid manner, way faster than anything we've ever seen, in traditional finance. They are contributing to inflation on a global level at an alarmingly rapid pace. So where they do have their reserves, they are not using their reserves in the trustlessly ethical manner that a stablecoin should be held accountable to.
Okay, one such product is USDK. Launched in June 2019, the ERC20 stablecoin was co-developed by blockchain technology company OKLink and U.S. licensed trust company Prime Trust, with funds escrowed independently. The operator says it offers a guaranteed 1-to-1 conversion rate between USDK and USD, and its monetary value is 100% reserved. To this end, independent auditing firm
Prime Trust.
What? No.
Oh.
Where was I? Sorry. Now I'm lost because I went up to Prime Trust. No, I'm past that. I read this. Sorry. Sorry. There's no T in there. Provides monthly reports of the USD held by Prime Trust for USDK token holders in order to deliver maximum transparency to the public, while smart contract audits are performed by third-party companies.
Yeah. First of all, those tokens are still generated completely by individuals within the company, which means that you are still relying on the fact that they are bringing in dollars at the rate they say they are, and so far they've been pretty good about it. There's been a few anomalies, but they've been really good about trying to make sure everything's been on the up and up. The other problem with it, though, is that the other thing that is a problem with these systems is that things like USDK have had extremely little use case value. You either see these systems that are very non-reputable like Tether, they've pretty much gotten their way and infiltrated into every system imaginable, or on the other side you see things like USDK, which have really tried for transparency, but have created these very isolated little bubbles that they're in where you can't do anything with it. Makes sense. Smart contract is essentially saying, like, we look at a physical audit that's done and compare to make sure the same number of tokens. Great, until you figure the fact that, last year twice Tether got busted for literally bribing auditing.
Go up to the middle. I don't know why I do that, but hello.
Sorry guys, our screen to be able to view what we're doing is over there, where the camera's over here.
Okay, so there's a camera here in that position, there's a camera here in that position, and then there's a screen here, and then there's a screen there, and then a little screen over on the other side. So hello.
Hi there, Steve.
I will just waver.
I think that USDK, they did an admirable job trying. I do think that that's not the end of what these systems need. And we will be talking about our system here in a little bit that more, we believe anyway, covers all the bases that we need to have in order to be able to have a truly trustless stablecoin. I believe so. Yes, just for the fact that people have largely come to see the benefit of blockchain.
Right.
We know that it works. We know that it means that you can send your money where it needs to go. It never closes. You never have to worry about that central intermediary. Your security and everything is, way above and beyond anything in traditional finance. But again, like we were talking about at the beginning of this conversation, if I say I'm going to pay you at the end of the day in Bitcoin, you have no idea how much money you make.
Right.
Stablecoin solves that issue. It gives you the quote-unquote stability of fiat, because fiats are only as stable as we perceive them to be by living within the country of their use. So yeah.
Potentially, but there are hurdles that stand in the way. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Mostly government.
Yeah, mostly government. So next part of this, I'll cover this one. So.
Read through it.
Earlier this year, as I'm sure pretty much everybody knows, we had the beautifully no.
No.
Sorry. It's horrible though. Libra. We had Libra, the beautiful brainchild of Facebook and a few other big tech moguls. Which is a stablecoin that's supposedly pegged to a basket of assets, which means that it's not pegged to just like the dollar or the yen or the euro, but just kind of a big conglomeration of all of them that is, again, has to be algorithmically stabilized, because they actually have said that they plan to fractionalize 100% of their reserve, because that doesn't sound alarming at all.
No, not alarmed.
This is market. Now, I will point out, this is already a thing that you can do on Facebook. Through Messenger, you can click the little send money button and send it anywhere you want to. So they're really not doing anything they're not already doing. They're just slapping a blockchain logo on it so they can charge a lot of money for their nodes, because they're selling each node at a starting bid of $10 million a piece.
I think I have that in my mattress at home.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. So Mark Zuckerberg, co-founder and CEO of Facebook, has had to slam the brakes on the project, with American politicians fearing it could undermine the U.S. dollar and even threaten global economy. That's thrown its 2020 launch date. And this is coming as a proponent of blockchain and of stablecoins. Yes, when we do have a system that truly works within stablecoins, it will cause massive economic disruption, because we're going to see that the major holdings of actual fiat worldwide are going to shift into these currencies. It's going to go into custodial facilities, and then we're going to end up with a system where, again, you have these distributed checks and balances, and the traditional control structure is going to largely go away. And yeah, I'm sure that for a lot of people that's going to be a fairly frightening concept.
The world is big and scary, and it changes often.
Exactly.
Big girl panties.
And I mean, we have seen one thing I've been very gratified of is, like, for instance, a couple of years ago when my company KingRoyal Industries first started working on trying to build a stablecoin system. Everybody's like, oh, why would you want to do something like that? That's a horrible idea. Yada yada yada. There's no money in stablecoins. They're so boring. And now it is actually really funny to see that we've almost entered this like stablecoins arms race, because as soon as Libra came out with it, which suddenly made it so that the things that people like myself have been talking about stablecoins for years is now for some reason more valid than it was.
You guys, it's because you guys didn't make any sense.
Yeah, exactly.
And you didn't know what you were talking about.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Because Zuckerberg totally knows what he's talking about.
Me, bro.
Yeah, exactly. But since then, we now see pretty much every other crazy corporate group has decided we need to have our own stablecoin too, such as Walmart. Why do you want a Wally World coin?
I would probably frame it just because it
It's not a physical coin.
I know that.
You're going to print it out and frame it?
I'm going to print out the actual visual because it's funny. It's like...
Yeah.
Welcome to Wally World.
So yeah, but I mean, we now have Wally World coin.
Yeah.
We have Target coin. We have Wells Fargo coin, which at least makes a little bit more sense. And pretty much everybody else has decided they're coming out with their own as well. This has led to a number of different patents, a number of different crashes, and pretty much everyone so far has just gotten smacked down one after another, largely due to the same concerns that have been held around Libra. Cointelegraph, they say a few other things here. These projects have given stablecoins the limelight, giving many members of the public their first opportunity to understand what blockchain and crypto are and what they could offer. Back in February, a report published by the stablecoin startup Reserve claimed that stablecoins will play a key role in mainstream adoption of crypto technologies, not least in countries that have been ravaged by hyperinflation, such as Venezuela and Angola. I will point out that Venezuela, they came out with a stablecoin for all the rest of y'all, which is their oil-backed stablecoin that the U.S. actually placed an embargo on in 2017. It is a fantastic system, though. I actually really like what they built.
I like what Minda Maker said. Sorry. Wells Fargo, a trusted company.
Yes, very trusted. You know you want it. Yeah, they actually also said that next year they plan to release their stablecoin, which they intend to be and let's see if you find this familiar. Does this remind you of any other crypto that has come out and nosedived? It is intended to come out as a competitor and eventual replacement of Swift. Anybody know what I'm talking about here? Come on. I know somebody's got it. It's
Daniel.
One, huh? Come
on,
Mindo Maker.
Come on.
Oh, you're no fun. So yeah, for those that don't know what I'm referencing Ripple, which I don't hate as much as I used to. I used to hate it a lot more than I do. Yeah, I'm referencing Ripple, which was originally created by J.P. Morgan, and this is after J.P. Morgan said that any of their employees coin itself, and then after that they created Ripple.
Hypocritical much?
A little bit. And so they created Ripple, which was intended to be a replacement of the Swift banking transaction system, which is how they send their ACH transactions back and forth, which is the transactions typically take 3 to 5 days. And then though they created the system as the testing ground to be able to create, this Swift knockoff, they then later released statements publicly stating that they created the system with zero intention of ever actually using it. It was meant as a test only. They then, last year created JPM Coin, which is essentially the same thing, but only to be used within their system. It's not an actual cryptocurrency, nor really an actual blockchain system, but that's what they're calling it. And so now we have Wells Fargo trying to do the same thing, and I fear for Wells Fargo's customers, as I believe that they will most likely get just as ruthlessly stabbed in the back as JPM holders were back during...
it really sucks because, like, Wells Fargo, unfortunately I hold an account with them.
Ooh, ouch. Why?
Well, unfortunately, they did give me one thing that most banks wouldn't back when I first got an actual job. After being a stay-at-home mom for like 4 years with no, she has nothing coming in except for this one paycheck. Let's see some ID. All the banks wanted 2 forms of ID, and I only had 1. And nobody would accept me to open up an account, even though I had a couple of paychecks in hand and my ID. And I'm sitting there like, please give me an account. Accept them.
Yeah. See, I had the opposite experience with Wells Fargo, where back when I first started working with crypto, back when I was in middle school, and I had a few transactions that came in and out of some of the original crypto exchanges. They closed my account because I was in shady dealings.
Oh.
So don't expect to have that account much longer.
No, and that's a really...
For all the Wells Fargo reps that are out there that are spying on us right now, you know what to do.
Please don't shut down my account. Not yet.
Well, I mean, that's why we're getting a signature.
Money, so you can.
That's why we're getting a signature.
Yeah.
So,
Steve, are all of these coins, interchangeable, you're going to
have exchange rates between one another like paper currency? Yes and no.
Oh, that actually looks nice.
We actually talked about this a little bit ago. Mini coins are currently isolated within their own system. We were just talking about earlier a little bit, the need to be able to establish, interchain systems that will allow these tokens to work directly back and forth. Working in London may disappear at any moment. Okay.
Sorry.
So Crypto Goth, why don't you take us away with the conclusion Cointelegraph had? I know we are running a little bit long on our time here, let's...
What will 2020 hold for stablecoins?
Well, one that I can tell you for sure is the Crown stablecoin will be coming out in 2020, and we're very excited about all that. And exchange rates are kind of dependent upon the medium of exchange, says window maker, across borders, digitally or in person, verified or non-verified transactions, etc. Very good answer, window maker. That is really on point. What's Cointelegraph say about all this?
Big launches and some further regulatory drama are increasingly likely.
Yeah.
Aww.
We're the big launch and expect much regulatory drama.
Drama. Okay, keep an eye on Facebook and Walmart to see how their projects progress.
Sorry.
And watch as countries around the world unveil plans to launch digital versions of their own currency.
We actually talked about that with Kenya last week.
Oh.
Yeah, they're You get a stablecoin, and you get a stablecoin.
Did you just pull him up? No.
Yeah.
No Oprah for you. That's it. I'm cutting you off. It's likely that regulators have no countries like India may continue to push for an outright crypto ban. What do you think about all the bans that people are trying to?
It's really funny when you write a cease and desist order for a decentralized system that literally doesn't have.
Who do I hand this to?
Yeah, exactly.
Who do I?
I'm actually really hoping that we see the U.S. do that again, where, like, we saw this happen with China back in 2013, where they wrote a cease and desist order and couldn't find anybody to give it to. I really hope the U.S. does that. Like, I'm really hoping.
Give him my address.
Yeah, right?
I'll have a house full of cats. I'll act pretty juicy. Daniel says, I'm actually curious of
on using it as a currency, which is disappointing because they could really good. Is now partnered with Walmart in China exclusively right now, but they are planning on extending out to do all their supply chain management. So yeah, that's a big thing. So we are here at the end. Instagram will only allow us to do a 1-hour video. So we are at the end of our time here. Thank you guys so much for joining us for First on the Block, Crypto and Coffee here on Sunday. Know we ran a little bit late today.
It's my fault.
But also keep an eye out because later today we will also be putting out an additional little video in which we're going to be talking about the latest updates that have gone on with our system and all of the really super cool things